Hello, hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Are we live? I think we are. Hang on.
I see your sign, so I think it means we're live.
I think that means we're good. Happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well. And we've got a good show for you tonight. Rodney, what do you know this Happy Tuesday? Anything special?
Nothing special. Just glad to be here. Glad we finally got some sunshine and some rain around here in our area.
Yeah, it is. Oh, that's so weird how that's doing that. I'm getting some switches up going on, so bear with me. Technical stuff. Hang on, everybody. We're just going to leave that be for now. So, first thing I want to do, like we do every week, is we're gonna touch on those rates because that's what everybody's interested in. And so I'm in Mortgage Daily News. Let's look here. Bang. Yes, here we go. Whoops. Sorry, we got to get you fixed. There we go. Might be doing some fixing here. Anyway, so today it looks like, what is it? Let's see, 5.95. So it jumped up a little bit today, right? Is that right, Rodney?
Yes, they have been trending back up.
Trending back up. And it looks like based on what we're seeing right here, that it's going to stay that way. This indicator tells us what the tendency of the market is, right? Hey, Angie, how are you, girl? Good afternoon to you. Angie's here. Howdy. Anyway, enough of that. Something else I wanted to talk about was if anybody's familiar in the housing market, there's a thing called a Case-Shiller housing price index. Shiller's kind of a famous like analyst or something. And the house price index tells us a lot about the housing market. You're familiar with those guys, right, Rodney?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm going to do something here. I'm going to fix something. I don't know why that's happening. It's going to be a day of snafus, so that's just going to be the way it is. And what this talked about was the month-over-month increase in home prices with this Case-Shiller. I'm going to shift back and you're going to go blank, so just bear with me. There we go. That's all right. I don't know why that's happening yet. The month-over-month increase was 0.33 month-over-month, and what that means is it's almost nothing. Price increases almost nothing. They're predicting a price increase in the next year of like 2%, and over the past couple of years, it's been 20%, 22%. Crazy numbers. And this was the smallest month-over-month increase since June 2020. It does include April and May in there. And so what it's talking about is that the price growth, and this is what we were talking about a couple of weeks ago, price growth has just stalled. It just has stalled. You know, they're trying to cool the market down. Powell is. And Rodney, if you got something to chime in, just I'm on a roll here. I don't so I have to speak up. But they're trying to cool off the economy, and well, it looks like whatever they're doing is slowing things down for sure. House prices went up 17% from the second quarter of 21 to the second of 22, up 4% compared to the first quarter of 22, seasonally adjusted 0.1%. I mean, that's as close to zero really as you can get. And so that's just telling you the state, as far as I'm concerned, is telling us the state of the market, how cool it is. And that's why I was talking about a couple of weeks ago for anybody that's looking for a house. You don't necessarily have to be in a big hurry because things have slowed in terms of price, because things have slowed down so much price-wise that if you haven't found exactly what you're looking for, it's not going to be going up by double digits in the next month or two. So, I mean, that's, you know, if it gets rid of that sense of that rush, that sense of hurry. So anyway, that was the deal on that.
Now, Andy, are they taking those numbers like you said the like you said the growth from what the last 3 or 4 months or whatever time period that was is virtually nothing.
Correct. That's correct.
Um,
And so within a month, it's gone up point one, not one
the,
percent, but point one.
the home's value
Correct.
from where it was after we seen an 18% increase the year before, right?
That's exactly right.
So they're, and that's kind of what I'm hearing. Everything is just kind of leveling out or slight to no increase. But I keep seeing the headlines that the market is getting worse or the sales prices are coming down, um, but not necessarily they're not reflecting in these numbers yet. Like because when I see when I'm seeing it, everybody's talking about like, oh well, we're negotiating. I got some closing costs, or I got them to fix stuff, or they even decrease the price before it's sold on the listing. Does that make
Right.
sense?
It does.
But
What what you're talking about, I don't know why that's happening. And I can't, and not in a place where I can fix it. Um, when we're talking about prices, the reason it gets confusing when we're talking about prices, and Angie was talking about um, prices coming down, what we're really talking about now is when we're talking about prices dropping, it's the initial list price because houses are going on. And I saw just a ton of them today. List price, there's price adjustments going on everywhere, and so people are they're still in that mindset of the market's crazy hot, or they haven't accounted for how much it's slowed down. I mean, if somebody's getting ready to list a house and they're using the numbers from 3, 2, or even 1 month ago, it might be the prices might be too hot back then to make the comparison now because you're going to think that it's going to continue to go up. The initial list price is what's being dropped, and I'm telling you, there's some serious drops. If I went into my email, matter of fact, I'm going to do this just to see, just to show you. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm going to pop this back, and I'm going to have to keep switching. I'm sorry to everybody about this. Well, let me see if I can't fix this. I think we can. Just did. Bang.
you
Done.
don't have to add me back on there.
No, I did. Well, it's automatic. But now if we look at this in my email, those are price drops that I get notified of from Zillow, like just today. I mean, it goes back a few days, but that's how many properties the prices are being dropped. And the argument that I'm putting forth, and it's really well documented, is that 40% of the houses on the market are being sold at full list price. And that means that 60% of the homes that are being sold um, are overpriced. The agents and sellers are putting them on there, and they're too high. And it's a different market than it was a while back. You could
Right.
price it way high and test the market and be okay. If it was too high, you just drop the price and it would sell anyway. Now, what's happening is if a house is on the market 5, 10, 20 days, it's happening. People are starting to ask questions because I've got buyers that are saying, I wonder what's wrong with that house. It's an entirely different. It really is a different market now. I mean, it's kind of shocking, and I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's like I couldn't believe we're back here. You know, I'm more used to this type um, of a market than what we were having before. Because
Right.
before it was just best guess. What's Angie saying here? Honestly, say prices in our area have not gone down. Well, but you're in California too. It depends on what part of California too. What they're talking about that is that the hottest markets are going to take the biggest hit ultimately. Ultimately,
The
and so
hottest,
that might see that change. What's that, Rodney?
you said the hottest market may
The
take the biggest
hottest
hit?
markets are ultimately going to take the biggest price hit, is what they're suggesting. The ones that
That's
have,
backward. That seems backwards to me.
yeah,
Like
I
if
don't.
people feel like I believe my area is like Angie's right here. I don't see them going down, but I do see them staying on the market a little bit longer. And like you just mentioned, all that stuff, with the inspections and all that um, is coming back, and you can do some repairs and that sort of thing.
Right. Well,
But
oh, sorry.
I'm assuming if that happens enough, it'll start affecting the data where these things are going backwards. Is that true? Like
Uh, well, explain to me what you're saying.
like we're in a market right now, if I want to call it somewhat of a normal market, a normal relationship between a seller and a buyer,
Right.
right? I think we have more of that right now than obviously we had. So if currently we have a bunch of sellers negotiating, is that not going to affect the sales price? Even if it's, they're coming down some, whether it's sales price or whatever,
Right.
is that not going to affect the, I guess if they come down to a lot, it will affect the overall numbers, but we're just not seeing it, right? The
Right. Well, it's only just it's just the beginning of.
right,
We both know that, because when they're talking about, I don't mean to go on and on about this, but this is really this is the difference. When we're talking about price drops, what that means when somebody says, like, is there a housing recession, that kind of stuff. We've got to look back a year ago. So I mean, from August of last year, whatever the house prices are, if we hit that level, it's like that's an official price drop. That's the way that's measured is annually, month over month, just sort of keeps track. So it looks different. I mean, you wouldn't say that housing is in recession because it goes down 1 month. It takes more than that. It takes 6 months in a row, according to National Association of Realtors. 6 months in a row, prices have to drop in order for there to be a recession, and it has to be a number of factors. It's not just price. It has to be the number of solds, the pendings, all of it. I mean, it takes quite a lot to go into an official recession for some reason. Hopefully that makes sense. But at any rate, where we're standing right now, it's slowed down a bunch. And I'm looking at this, Mark. This good, it worked. I'm seeing, according to Realtor.com, that there is one it's actually a little bit inaccurate based on what I've been seeing. It says the median list price is 449, which maybe it is, but the median sales price is 403 these days. 403. That's down significantly than it was just a few months ago. And the days on market, it's selling faster, and the number of listings is up 31%. I know that that's correct. But median sale price of 403, not 449. That'd be crazy high. But that's just telling you, if you're in the market for a house, there's going to be houses certainly higher than that. Median means right in the middle. You're just right in the middle.
yeah.
So there's going to be houses more, houses less. But it does seem to be retreating on that a little bit. So that's kind of an interesting thing. It's with, and I mean, think about it with the rates that the way they are today. And I hate to keep coming back to that, but you know what? That's just the way it is. And rates are important to people. Um, when they're high like they are today, that slows people up. It just does.
I
Now,
agree.
your
This is
business is probably different. Is that right, Rodney? I mean, does it affect you, or tell us how that goes with you?
100%. This is the first time in the history I've been in the business that the rates are so high. It significantly shut off the demand, so to speak, with that. Um, with that, it's getting close. When it's 6%, customers just don't like it. They're not buying. They're nowhere near as encouraged to buy as when they're 3.5 and fours.
Right. Yeah. It's tough days out there. I'm trying to read. Let me read this. I'm gonna pull this up and see if we can answer this question. No, a price drop. The way that it's defined, if you look it up, a price drop. I mean, well, anything can be a price drop. But when people are saying prices are going, like they're going, I kind of want to be careful about this. Okay, here's what I'm getting at. And Rodney, you can help me with this. I'm going to keep this. I'm going to keep this up there. What I'm talking about on this particular question is crashes. When I'm talking about crashes, a crash is when the price this year is less than it was last year. Now it can probably be within that time frame a little bit so people start thinking that way, but that's what crashes, and that's where you see most videos about um, um, the market's crashing. That's where they're different. You see hundreds of videos, and that's what they're implying. And I'm saying that according to the numbers, I'm not saying it, but according to the numbers, that's not happening at all. It's slower, but we're so far away from crash. I mean, don't get me started on that. The reasons for the crash and the foreclosures and the rest of it. There's nothing about the way the market is now, except the way it feels, but the fundamentals aren't there to cause that. But it feels like something's breaking, like something's falling apart. And it's understandable why individuals would be nervous. I get that. Um, yeah, and Angie also mentioned in there um, about houses being more expensive. People should look at smaller homes. Actually, builders are looking at plans. For the last few years, the average build on a home is they're large. They're big houses here in America, right? So builders are now looking at the smaller homes, smaller townhomes, smaller condos that cost less, so people can afford them. Because this rate thing isn't going to go away tomorrow. That's at least not what they're saying.
I heard the first report today. Fannie Mae put out it was just a news article, wasn't a report. It was that they are predicting the second or the third and fourth quarters of 2023 will be at 4.5%.
I didn't read that. I didn't read that. So it's going to take a year for things to cool off. Of course, we've got to deal with this inflation, right? Uh, I mean, that
Well,
has to be dealt with. And the news we got from uh, from Powell the other day, it didn't have any really positive vibes to it. I think I heard the word pain in there twice, I think, and that doesn't sound like soft landing to me. I don't care, if you're trying to interpret what a guy is saying. And I didn't hear soft landing.
no, this that's the craziest stuff ever. Yeah, and I didn't watch it. That's the one that come out of Montana, right? Was that Bozeman or something where they was
Jackson
doing?
Hole, wasn't it? Isn't
Yeah,
that
yeah,
where
yeah, yeah,
he hangs out in Jackson Hole or something?
yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but I mean, and they act and he and he's the guy to listen to for people. I mean, certainly the stock market didn't it tank by 1,000? So somebody was listening. It's not just me and the rest of these guys. So, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what.
yeah, it's just crazy. It's like there's still people buying right now, and there's, the if you look at the numbers, it's still a pretty decent number, but um, it's just
Say that
down
again.
from where it
Say
used to
that
be.
again. I missed.
It's still a pretty decent number of people who are buying. Like if you look at the number of people who are still purchasing,
Oh yeah,
that's what's keeping our market that's from going. Still a lot of cash buyers, still a lot of I haven't seen as many investors though. I've seen that totally go, not go away, but I haven't seen a lot of it.
yeah. No, you're absolutely right. The here's the way that I do a lot of reading on this because when I make my YouTube videos, you've got to do research, and it's something's it's tickled an interest in me that I really can't explain because I was never a finance guy and I don't have an advanced degree, but I know how to read, and there's some pretty good topics out there. There's some pretty smart people. And Angie brings up the fear mongering. There's so much of that going on because it gets people's attention, and I would say probably the news is the same way. So be dangerous or be careful what you watch on the news because they're just trying to scare you to sell cookies or something. I mean, that's what that is.
Yeah.
Um, but there are a lot of people still buying, and I think that the people that are still participating in the market are the ones that probably understand that in a year from now, like Rodney's saying, they're going to be regular. The rates are going to be more normalized, and if you can refinance and be there, you will be all happy and sassy again. I mean, it's just a belief going forward that things are going to be okay. Those are the people who are still participating. You know,
Right.
that's the way that's the way it seems like to me. And the people that are coming out of this, the people that are buying homes, you would know this way more better than me. Except I talk to them on the front end, and there's a lot of people that, frankly, don't qualify these days, whereas before maybe they would. Um, don't you see, Rodney, that the people that are buying houses today are far more qualified? And I'm not saying that's not a judgment thing, but far better financially prepared for housing.
Yes, it is. And I think that's been a trend going back from, honestly, Andy, from like, I think about 2011 when that Dodd-Frank come out and the qualified mortgage come out.
Yeah,
I think the world just kind of reset its on its axis after that, after, all those crazy programs, helped with that crash, with the banking crash. So it's, yeah, once we're doing qualified mortgages now, which means you're going through some kind of underwriting and we're looking at some kind of pay stubs.
right.
It's and the industry overall has done a great job with that, because if they haven't, we would have been similar to the situation with a lot of foreclosures with all this, all the crazy products and early prepayment penalties and adjustable rate mortgages that's going to 15%, things like that. Since that didn't happen, those people have a ton of equity now versus little or no equity, and they're in a product that's not going to adjust and they can afford it for sustainable home ownership.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the foreclosures are, that's just like you've said, that's not going to happen because there's so much equity that if somebody got in serious trouble, you could sell and quite frankly come out whole. I mean, I don't want to say do well, like it, you know, but you might, there might be people walk away with an extra $100,000 or I'm making numbers up because every situation is different, but
Right.
most people could sell if they own now and if they've owned for 5 years, could walk away with some pretty good cash equity anyway,
Right.
unless they've refied, that kind
Yeah.
of. Because here's an article. Yeah, good luck on that, Angie. There's not going to be a bunch of foreclosures to choose from. I mean, you hear people talking about them all the time, but in my opinion, I don't think you're going to find them. But I want to show you this article we're talking
Hey,
about.
hey, I was just going to jump in and answer her question. It's not hard to get a loan when you're retired. Basically, it's the same as if you're working. We just use your retirement income just like your regular employment income. So there's no big difference in that. And obviously, there's no, I like, retired folks that, we're generally managing payments and stuff like that for those folks. So 30-year loans are fine. There's no, we don't encourage a lower term or anything like that for somebody retired. It doesn't matter if you're 117, you want to come in and get a 30-year fix. That that if that's what you want, that's what you're going to get. So
Good. That's good to know because I'll be looking at that one day.
I've had them ask. I've had people in their 70s and 80s coming in. It's usually the kids somewhere falling behind, needing them to cash out or do something, put it in somebody else's name, all that kind of mess. And they're like, well, I'm this age. Are you okay to give me? I'm like 100%. Yeah, I mean that would go against every rule under the sun to not let a customer borrow, at a high 30 years if they're whatever age they are. It doesn't matter.
Right. Well, that was a law that was passed last couple of decades, right? I mean, because the odds are you're not gonna.
Yeah, it's probably been longer than that, but it's just surprising that I get asked that. It's like, but just not everybody understands or knows the rules of equal housing and things like that. Of like our FDIC rules and how we're supposed to treat everybody the same. Yeah, a lot of people, still have a notion or mindset that there's a 12 people around a bank table making decisions about these things when it's
You mean
a
that's not the way
computer.
that goes?
Yeah, no, it's not. Yeah, so
The you bring up a really good point um, about where people are in the real estate space in terms of experience and stuff like that. And I used to think, and I think that this live stream has helped me come to terms with this. I sometimes in the past I've been avoiding what I would consider to be some basic topics because I think well, I'm telling something that everybody knows about, and if and I know I've mentioned Reddit more than once. Anybody that knows about Reddit, they call it the newspaper of the world. It's just like millions and millions and millions of people on there, and it's surprising, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's refreshing to see that you get the basic questions of people like how do I get a loan? I mean, what if I don't like a house? Can I give it back? Questions like that. And that indicates there's a basic lack of understanding. Well, they don't need to know that. If you're not selling real estate or giving loans, you wouldn't know that till you start looking. Anyway, I just thought that was so. It's never a basic topic that can't be benefited by somebody. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. But we were talking about. I wanted to show you this. This is on the Keeping Current Matters site, Rodney. If you're looking at that, the appreciation is slow and not depreciating, and this is what they're talking about with the prices slowing down. And this is what it looks like. It's a deceleration. So
I
that's
actually seen that slide. It was that one gets pretty technical in there.
yeah, yeah. But it just kind of shows you that we're just trying to cool down the market. And to finish up on that, because I wanted to touch base just real quick on contingencies. I know we hadn't even got there. I don't know what happened to me today. Steamrolled you, man.
We're on
Um,
a blog.
yeah, that isn't that the job of Powell is to where we're talking about people not buying and the market slowing down. That's his job, I believe, is to slow the market without tanking the market. That's the delicate balance that he's trying to maintain.
I don't know what they're trying to do, Andy. All that's so crazy. I don't get
We
it.
have a non-believer.
I don't know. I know it's always, we're always going to be in cycles. Um, but I do know, the last several years, our crazy market was fed by what the government was doing then. So it's hard for me to complain about them because they artificially kept our rates down to nothing for years with them buying all the treasury bonds and being the, like, what was it, 40 something percent of the investor on those. I mean, they just controlled the market and kept our rates down for so long. It's like you knew something was going to happen at the end of it. You just had no clue because normally those things don't even that market doesn't last but about 5 or 6 months, and it
Mhm.
lasted almost a year and a half, almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So it's I don't understand why they have to do it. I'm not into all that and focus on that. I do mortgages, man. I just do mortgages. It's crazy. You pull up that graph and you say, okay, well, you look at it over a 15 or 20-year period, that rate graph, and I'm like, if you're buying, right now you have to buy, say before 3 months because your job's moved you or whatever, you need to move. You're going to get the rate between now and whatever it is in 3 months. I mean, you're going to get whatever the market rate is at that time just on that graph. So I mean, and then 5 years later, 7 years later, when it bottoms out to something crazy low, you refinance that product if you still need it. Maybe go to a lower term. If not, if it's really good and it never gets better, you just hold on to it. So this is. But to go back to the Fed, I have no clue what they're doing, what they're trying to do. They say they're trying to slow the economy but not kill it. But I'm like, I mean, but I'm not complaining honestly because you just have to take it all into consideration. They made everybody in America, or a lot of us, a lot of people, homeowners over the last several years made a fortune in equity, and they got their houses at a crazy affordable rate that makes somebody afford a better neighborhood, a better house. It's all been good stuff. Now we might be paying for it a little bit right now, but it'll be back. It'll be back.
Yeah. And I think what you're talking about is when when people look at rates and prices and houses and stuff, it seems like that if you get a loan, it's forever. I mean, because
Mhm.
if you're not familiar with the purchase process, I mean, I don't want to refi because it sounds complicated. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. But I mean, if it's a rate of, I won't even want to say a number, just pick a number, what it is currently. Most of us think that that's what it'll be for the rest of your life, and that's why we're making decisions versus being able to change in a couple of, or a year and a half, whatever you would say is reasonable.
Yeah, that's a great point because I'll say I am the person that would get that mortgage and be the one who said I'm never going to refinance this, because I'm fairly conservative. But just after being in the business for so long and seeing actually what takes place instead of what you think you're doing when you buy your first house or whatever, you get an opportunity to save some money down the road. You run those numbers. If it makes sense for you, you'd end up refinancing. I mean that you would take the just because you don't know what's in store with a refinance and it's complicated. Yeah, I'm with you, Andy. I would be like, I'm gonna stay away from that. But say you're a homeowner 5 years down the road, you know, everybody's refinancing your whole street, your neighborhood, your family, and you'd be like, hey, Rodney's called me about my loan review. What's I may want to call him back and see if that's an interest to me or whatever. So,
Mm-hmm.
but who Angie said one of us is a talker. Who's she talking to there? Is she saying that about me? Did I get rambling on?
Guilty. That's why I'm shutting up. I'm going away.
She said I'm scaring first time home buyers. No, Angie, you're not scaring them. The sales price and the rates have scared them. That is something that's bugged me about this whole thing is that the first time home buyers have been killed in this scenario. They're just uh, it's not been good. The sales prices, we've talked about it. Andy. I mean, it's what is it now in our county? If you want to buy, is it 500,000 or 600,000 for a first time home buyer now? I mean, what can
Oh,
you
for
find?
first time?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
good
what can
luck.
you find for
Yeah,
that? I mean,
yeah, yeah. Good luck finding something of. That's probably just about right, actually. Going to think
yeah,
Williamson County is kind of spendy.
had
Um,
a young friend of mine, a really good, really good golfer, and come in. Has a really good career. Um, it was like 900,000 his first house. I'm like, man, where do you start at? I mean, this is crazy. You're starting at 900,000.
for a
And
first time, and it was his first home.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you don't have to go there, but I'm like, what's that? What's that neighborhood? It's just down off of a Franklin Road, Sylvan Park. It ain't Sylvan Park. It's that other one over there by.
Give me a cross street. What's a cross street?
Well, do you remember where Ronnie Millsap lived? That area,
You're not talking about.
just before Melrose and all that stuff. You're going down Franklin Road away from Franklin before you get to Nashville,
Oh,
where
you're talking
Melrose is.
north. You're talking north.
Yeah, you're going north from,
Oh,
yeah.
oh, oh. Well, there's. I don't know. I
It
don't know.
may. I don't think it's Sylvan Park, but I don't. Anyways, it was in there, and I'm like, that's just been a nice, solid neighborhood forever, and it's like 900,000 now to get in.
No, yeah, yeah. It, it is crazy. One of the other things when you're talking about, we may not get to the contingencies today. One of the other things when we're talking about first time buyers, particular, one of the things that holds most people back that I've talked to for a decade and a half, most of them, is they don't know their credit score. That's the reason they're fearful is they don't know their credit score, and it scares them to dig into that what their finances are actually like.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's weird. I tell my loan officers all the time, I'm like, man, when's the last time you've been through a mortgage? I'm like, I have loan officers that are phenomenal loan officers and great credit, great customers. As far as doing a loan,
Yeah,
they're really solid as far as their paperwork goes, and they start wearing me out about approvals and stuff, and I'm like, what are you worried about? Your loan's going to be approved. I'm like, why you know what I'm saying? And it's them, you know what I'm saying? They haven't experienced what buyers experience. And I'm like, this is what your customer feels like. You need to remember
exactly.
this. You need to have this fresh in your mind so you know what this CEO over here that makes a gazillion and all of his financials are perfect, they still may be worried about getting that loan. So you've just got to make sure you've communicated very well that they're qualified and it's going to go. It's going to go. I mean, it's just kind of funny that people, if you
That's
don't
ironic as
experience it,
heck.
yeah, if you don't experience it a while, they still like, oh, is there something going on? When's it going? What about my package? I'm like, relax. You're all good, man.
Isn't that funny? That's funny. It's one of the um, it's the same thing for real estate agents. I'm pretty sure that there's a significant number of real estate agents out there that are selling houses and never have bought one. And I mean, it's a whole different deal selling somebody something versus going through the process exactly what you're talking about. I mean, you don't feel the risk of an inspection until you're the one, until it's your money on the line, you know?
Right. Yes.
What if the
Yes.
roof's leaking? Ah, it's fine. You know, if you're, it'd be fine unless it's yours. What? I don't want
Yeah.
to leak, you know? Oh my God, that's crazy. What's your credit score have to be now to get a loan? Angie's asking.
You know, the higher the better for conventional. Y'all, anybody can go online and look at what's called the Fannie Mae adjusters, or it's the loan level pricing matrix for Fannie Mae loans, and you can see what
Wow.
all goes in. Loan level pricing matrix.
The
You
pricing
can.
matrix. Will Keanu Reeves be there? Is
Almost.
it?
Let me see if I can pull it up here. Or if you want to Google
Sure.
that word, um, what it does, it breaks down
Can you
every
share your screen
single.
with us?
Let's see here.
Let's really, let's really mess this thing up since I started off. So
You want me to hit share screen here?
try it. See what
All right,
happens.
let's do it. See what happens. All right.
Oh, look at that.
You see that one?
There you go.
All
Talk to
right.
us.
So what can I? Well, I was going to zoom in, but you see the credit scores over here on the left hand side. Um, that's a credit score you look at, and then on the right hand side you see if it's a, the loan to value.
Right.
And so the higher the loan to value and the lower the credit score, you see how much you have to add just to do that loan. Like if you want to do a 95% loan and your credit score was 620, less than 620, we'd have to charge you or Fannie Mae is going to add 3.25 points to any rate before we ever see it. Points, not like in percentage. But if it was over 740 and less than 60%, you get that same rate at zero add. And that's the top left button or top left box.
No kidding.
So that's why when people say, "Oh, what's your rate?" and it's like, well,
Depends. It depends.
yes, it depends. I mean, but it just see it changes every 20 points on your score. Every 5% of equity you have, it could affect it. So we just plug that into a little system that spits out all of our investors' pricing, that
Right.
what it is, and all that stuff's built in. Now, they just removed it, but a year ago, or when it got really hot and heavy with the refinances, Fannie Mae put a 1 point charge on every refinance they did. So you're
Really.
talking about when they're doing millions of loans, they make a million just in that. They were just like, well, we're just so busy. Everybody's doing this. A point ain't gonna slow us down a bit, and so they just put it on there and racked it in.
That's amazing. That's quite a
A lot of
business
money.
they got going there.
Yeah.
Quite a business. Well, we are like, I really, I'll try to do better on the talking thing, try to dial it back a little bit.
I don't want you to. I mean, if you're not talking, it means I have to. So you have better info than me.
Well, sometimes those things get fired up like about, I mean, like it or not, and I've just realized this, that there's some things, if I'm looking for a car, the thing that I'm most interested in first is the price. I'm interested in the car itself, but when I'm looking around shopping, so to speak, the first thing I look at is the price. And I think that when I was buying a house, that was the same. I wanted to have a house that I wanted to be in, but the price was where I started. And so, like it or not, we're in a price conscious world, really. I mean,
Hmm.
I've not gotten to the point where I can ignore the price. I know a few people that have, but it's not me. So when we start talking about prices dropping and like Angie's just so kind to say that, that to mention that there's fear mongering going on, it is, because that's big business. Getting people's attention is worth a lot of money, and fear gets people's attention. So uh, today was a wandering weirdness. It could go down to the annals of don't do this again, Andy.
I don't know about that. It's somebody listening. Angie may have got something out of it. Look, Angie, we're gonna have to hire Angie. Is what we're gonna do. She's got a timer. She's gonna put a timer on us.
Well, what can,
We're gonna have to wait. She moves to Tennessee so we can afford her hourly rate. Though I hear California people are expensive, right?
yeah, if you've got a camera on your computer, you can be in the program. So just
We gotta get her on one day.
yeah, yeah. If you, I'm serious. If you got a camera and a microphone on your computer, Ange, you can be on here with us and cause some craziness. That's right. She smacks us around, keeps us in line. Good woman. I need that. For anybody that was looking for contingencies, uh, sorry,
Hey, we
didn't.
got to do that next week. That's a good topic. I want to. There's been a lot of stuff on contingencies. That we've seen around our office that I think some good stuff to talk about. So,
Yeah, we'll put that on there. I'll change the title so we don't get in trouble. But sorry about that. Hey, Angie, see you next week. I hope that'd be really good. Rodney, got any final words since I have simply dominated this stupid thing?
I appreciate you, man. Enjoy spending time with you. Thanks for showing up, Angie, and keeping us in line.
Yeah, straighten up, buddy. All right, everybody. Talk to you soon. See you,
All right.
Rodney.
See you, Andy. See you, Angie.